Hello, and welcome back to a Fishy Plantman production with me, Fishy Plantman, as your host. Alright, I was honestly trying to think of a plant video. I've been over here at this tank a few times in a row, and I thought, well, you know, do something with the plants. But then technically a couple of questions came up, one directly relating to fish. I watched a video and I realized that somebody should have heard some of these basics before purchasing fish. Now I'm going to leave a lot of the details out to protect the innocent, I guess. This isn't really about calling anybody out, although I'm not going to protect them to a point where if you figure it out, I'm going to worry about it. I'm just not going to, call them out on anything. But I will talk about the basics that maybe they should have thought about before getting fish. And I kind of think they did think about it, because I got the impression that they talked to somebody, probably a Petfool employee. Now I'll stop there and explain that insult, really. It used to refer to a single box chain Petfools. Maybe you can figure it out. I went there and I was going to finish stocking my 125-gallon aquarium. I think I was going to put the new fish in the 55 for a while to grow them out a little bit so that they could, stand with the Oscar that was already in the tank. But I was going to purchase, several larger fish, probably spend more than $100 on fish. When I looked at the Oscars and saw that some were allowed to swim around the tank and some were in little boxes, not a lot bigger than a betta box, but the tank's water flowed through the boxes, so it's not like they were, they were restrained, but not really. They were getting the full benefit of the tank. And I thought, well, why in the world are these fish being kept in these dividers? So I asked an employee. They said, well, I don't know, but I'll go find out. I'm like, all right, fine. That's honest. And they go in the back and apparently talk to somebody, which tells them to tell me that they've sexed the Oscars. Male from female. I thought, okay, that's BS. I mean, these were not 2-inch fish. Baby Oscars. Just little guys. And they had sexed them? No, I don't think so. So, didn't buy any fish. Well, not from that chain. I went elsewhere and got my fish. So I started referring to the chain as Petfools. But it's really kind of grown away from the one chain into anytime you go into a pet chain or a pet store, and ask a question and basically call BS on their answer. You know, basically a pet fool employee. That's an employee or an owner of a pet store that either doesn't know or are just feeding you BS for some reason. Maybe they were trying to hide the fact that the Oscars were sick. But what good does it do to divide them when the water can still flow through the divider? You're still contaminating the whole tank. A more sensible solution is they were separating. Pretty good timing there, boss. Boss fish. But just that. Separating the bullies from the rest of the fish. He's not really a bully. I think that's a he. He's just the boss of the tank. And I don't think he abuses it. Certainly not like the boss in the African tank behind me. That bully, well, I've just said it, he's a bully. So yeah, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was an aggression thing. So come out and say it. You probably would have had a sale if it was that. Oscars can be aggressive. They're a cichlid. Just like most of my fish. You know, angels are cichlids. These blood red parrots are cichlids. The African cichlids. Yep. So yeah. But anyway, that's who these people talk to, is apparently a pet fool. Because they fed them a bunch. They fed them a bunch. Apparently, and hopefully most people that follow my channel will get it. Apparently, one of the things they said, and I don't know if this should be first or last or whatever, but apparently they said, oh, don't worry about overstocking your tank because fish only grow to the size of their environment. Yeah, I paused on that one just so that you could, cough and choke and say, what? Yeah. They didn't come out with it, but something along those lines. Fish only grow to the size of their environment. No. Fish may stop growing, and their growth may be stunted, but it's not in any way a good thing for the fish. You take an Oscar, seems I kind of started with Oscars. You put that Oscar in a 10, 20, even a 30-gallon aquarium. It'll live for a while. Maybe 6 months, a year, and then it's going to die. 5 or 6 inches long. Is it because Oscars get to 5 or 6 inches? No. You might be able to find that in different places that Oscars grow to 5 or 6 inches. But if kept in a decent environment, they can easily get to 10 plus inches. The reason I was got 125 in the first place was because my Oscar's tail was brushing against the heater in the back and the back glass when he was interacting with me at the front. And the boss isn't really interacting really well. But his tail is not touching the back of the tank. My Oscar's was. He was 9-10 inches in a 55-gallon aquarium. Basically, when he was at the front of the tank, his tail was brushing the heater, and if not, the back of the tank very close to it. So I did the right thing, and I upgraded. Even though I was told a single Oscar can live its entire life in a 55-gallon aquarium. No. He was to a size where he couldn't turn around without touching both sides of the aquarium. Well, front to back at least. Because he was nearly a foot long. And a 55-gallon aquarium is about a foot wide. 4 feet long. But what good is that if you have, I guess it works, angle yourself a little bit and you can turn around. But I didn't want that. I got more distance with the 125. And another couple of feet, which he probably appreciated too, on length. That Oscar got probably to about 15 inches. I'm not sure what the depth is on 125. I think it's 18 inches actually. But he was approaching the full width of that tank too. He was about 10 years old when he finally died. And he unfortunately didn't die of old age. He died of abuse because I had to leave the tank somewhere and I couldn't take care of it. And the person that did take care of it overfed. And by overfeeding, I mean gave him like 6 months of food in a week. Just totally foiled the tank and he was done. Yeah. Doesn't take very long to kill a fish if you simply don't know what you're doing. And they didn't. I just didn't think they could kill a fish so fast. Yeah, well, if you give them 6-8 months worth of food in a week, that'll do it. So yeah. Fish don't stop growing to the size of their tank. Not naturally, not healthily. It'll shorten their lifespan considerably. I have watched people kill young Oscars. Mine was old. He was 10 years old, and maybe it was just bizarre timing, and he did die naturally. I doubt it, but maybe. It almost helps me sleep at night to think about it that way. But I have watched people kill Oscars 4 or 5 inches long, if that. Too small of a tank. So, yeah. You do need to worry about overcrowding. And you can overcrowd with one fish, because if the tank's too small, even this angel, or one of the parrots for that matter, a 10-gallon tank? No, they're not going to be happy in a 10-gallon tank. None of my fish, I've got 3 goldfish. They need to come out of the 10-gallon tank soon. I've already got the tank. I just need to get it set up. Which is why I didn't mind taking them at a half-inch long and putting them in a 10-gallon tank. 3 goldfish that are about a half-inch long, yeah, they can fit in a good 10-gallon tank, no problem. Now they're probably 3-4 inches long, and that tank is looking very crowded. So they'll probably be going in a 55. Where ultimately 3 goldfish will crowd that too. But I got a lot more time to think about that. So there's the first one. Boy, this is going to be a long video. Yeah. Fish need an appropriate size tank. And they need it really from day one. You know, if you look around, you can find, oh yeah, my Oscar's in a 20-gallon tank for now. Next week, I'll get him a bigger tank. Next month, he's still in the same tank. So yeah, adult size from the beginning is the better option. How about I brought new fish home, put them in the tank, within a day they're dead. Okay. That shouldn't have happened. They were healthy at the store, right? Oh yeah, they looked happy and healthy at the store. But just a couple hours after putting in my tank at home, they died. Okay. Did you float the bag to, get them accustomed to the temperature of the new tank? These people that got some fish, put them in a tank, they didn't float the bag. Most of their fish died. Ironically, the couple that survived or were alive last I knew, they weren't acclimatized to the water either. But by accident, they got one thing right. They didn't acclimatize the fish, but the tank where the majority of the fish died wasn't cycled either. And technically the other one wasn't intentionally cycled, but they didn't dump all the water out and refill it like they did on the tank or tanks. The information's a little bit spotty. But just before getting the fish on at least one tank, they dumped it out and refilled it. None of the fish survived in that tank. The one that a couple survived in, or something, like I say, there was a little bit of what we didn't tell you. What they didn't say in the video is irrelevant. It's what they didn't do right. But there was a little bit of that. What we didn't tell you, and the other thing we didn't tell you. So the information is spotty. But the older water that was not replaced, that's where fish survived. So they didn't float the bag, and they didn't cycle the tank. I'm not saying aquarium because technically it wasn't an aquarium. But that's, you can put fish in a bucket or a tub. It doesn't have, being an aquarium is not going to be the difference between survival and death. Floating the bag to adjust the temperature. Yeah, that's important. Putting them into a cycled aquarium is important. You don't do either one of those two things, you're probably going to kill all the fish. And if for some reason you can't do both those things, at least cycle the aquarium. Learn what a cycled aquarium is, and at least do that. Will your fish be happy? Probably not. Not if you just plop them in water that they're not ready for. But if you float the bag and put them in a cycled aquarium, well, maybe you'll get results like this, where everybody lives. I've had the angels for how many weeks now? Yeah, I think he still has ick, but he's doing all right. But now that this is 20 minutes long, 21 minutes long technically, I think I'll wrap it up there. Basically, do your research. Float the bag, for goodness sake. 20 minutes probably at least. An hour. The time's not too important, just as long as, you can't really tell the difference between the temperature of the water in the bag and in the tank. That's all you really gotta do on that one. Learn what the ammonia cycle is. At least cycle the environment they're going into. And then you've got things like, did your existing fish kill the new fish? Again, if you do a little bit of research, talk to more than one person. I mean, if these people would have talked to anybody beside the one employee at the pet store, they might have been told that that employee, and again, I'm just kind of guessing, because it appears that they, quote unquote, did some research, but they certainly didn't talk to a lot of people. And I left some comments. I don't know if they read them. And maybe they read them, because here's the last thing I'll talk about. They clearly have no clue what they're talking about when it comes to fish. But when the wife, girlfriend said, if there's any experts on these fish, and he comes in, don't ask for experts. No, don't ask for expert. That'll just send them off, and now all of a sudden everybody will be an expert. That's what upset me. Because if you don't know to float the freaking bag, what do you have to say about anybody being a fish expert? I mean, really. You don't know to float the bag and come back with, fish experts. Everybody's an expert. No. I don't see how you can say anything when you know so little. How can you decide who's an expert if you can't even smell BS when it's being served to you? I mean, really, those things. Oh, don't worry. The tank's not overstocked, and I did this and I did that. I know the fish will be fine. Next day, most of them were dead. Fish people wouldn't have made those mistakes. They would have smelled it. They probably would have tasted it as the person was saying it. And did what I did. Leave the store. Or at least continued their purchase with the knowledge that they were being fed BS. I mean, if you want to do something even though you're being fed BS and you know it, go ahead and do it. I've done it. I bought a truck and I asked them about, the condition of the truck. Oh, it's fine. Everything under the hood is factory. Except I looked under the hood. There was garden hose and speaker wires. And I thought, well, this is BS. I am being fed BS. But I took the truck for a test drive, and it seemed okay on the, quick trip around the block. And I kind of think that maybe that's best that I didn't pick up on the problem right away. Well, not best, because I bought the truck. Took it home. Didn't drive it 10 blocks. But the blown head became real apparent. Yep. I probably should have left when I smelled the BS. The water is not supposed to look like a moose. Not in any vehicle. But when I looked at the water, it looked fine. Took it around the block. Sounded good. No reaction in, 3 minutes of driving it. Maybe 6 minutes, getting it home. But I still probably should have left when I smelled the BS. Would have saved me on replacement of a head for my truck. But no, I thought, garden hose, it works. Speaker wire to get the spring to the right tension, it works. The truck's a little MacGyvered, but it works. Yep. It's probably best that when something seems wrong, to just leave immediately. What's the worst that can happen? You turn down a perfectly good deal, but find another one, maybe something you like better, a little later on. I think I would rather turn down a good deal for another good deal than to find out that it was such a great deal because, I don't know, their conscience wouldn't let them, take you for $1,000 when they knew that the head was bad. Originally, that's what they wanted. I think they wanted $1,200 for the truck. I told them I'd give them $5,000. But then I spent $2,000 getting the truck repaired. $2,500 for a truck that worked pretty good once it was repaired? Not bad. More than I planned on spending, but it all worked out. Yep. Do your research, and then if you think you spot a problem, smell a problem, whatever, maybe just walk away from it. Do some more research. I don't know of much of anything that's a one-time deal. You know, you might get burned. End up costing you more than you bargained for. Time, money, feelings, whatever it may be. These people don't seem to care too much, but they did lose most of their fish. Most of them. Not 3 or 4. Most of the fish they bought, they lost. Because they didn't notice that whoever they were talking to didn't know any more about fish than they did. Alright, I'll leave you with that. It's basically just a warning shot, whether it be a car, fish, whatever. Do your research. Don't just talk to one person, do actual research. Spend, I don't know, maybe a week on it. Watch 20 videos, talk to 30 people, but do research. I don't see it hurting you. Talk to you next time.